And welcome back to WNY News Now. We are just weeks away from WNY News Now's 57th Senate District Republican primary debate, where Chautauqua County Executive George Borrello will face Allegheny County Board of Legislature Chairman Kurt Crandall.
The man who will face whoever wins that June primary, November's general election, he's Austin Morgan, Democrat candidate for New York State Senate. He joins us here in studio live this afternoon. Austin, good to see you.
Hey guys, great to be here.
So one of the biggest topics that we wanted to get your take on, Austin, that's being discussed right now in Albany is the potential legalization of recreational marijuana. What do you believe lawmakers should do in regards to regulating the drug?
Well, first and foremost, I don't think it's going to pass this year, and it shouldn't. It shouldn't be done outside the budget. So the priorities for marijuana are making sure that it stays out of the hands of our children, make sure that it's done right the first time, and make sure that we have the right regulatory oversight to make sure that it's implemented in a way that helps everyday New Yorkers and it makes sure that we remain safe.
Austin, we were talking before going on air about how right now here in New York State, the state legislature and Governor Cuomo have discussed potentially closing a couple of prisons and instead having some heroin injection sites. Wanted to get your take on that situation.
So, despite the rumors, the bill concerning heroin supervised injection sites, it's just that. It's a proposal in Albany that's not gained traction. I don't think it will, and I don't think we'll see that. There is a wealth of research from other countries showing that those types of sites do, in fact, reduce fatalities. They do help addicts to get off of those drugs. But at this point, it's not gained traction in Albany, and I don't think locally it's something that I would support.
Now, one of the big things that we were talking before this broadcast in regards to farming and trying to help much of rural New York, you sort of have a plan in place right now, if elected, that you would try to render some assistance to them, right?
So absolutely, we've got to help our farmers. I mean, we are losing farms left and right, especially small family farms. So the biggest thing right now is the farm labor bill in Albany, which has been put through the Senate committee and hopefully will not come to a floor vote. It cannot. If it is passed as it currently stands, it will kill our industry. And you know, I'm a Democrat, and I'm going to call out the Democrats who are wrong. And they are wrong on this bill right now. We need to come to a common sense compromise. Our farmers need to be helped out while we continue to protect our workers. So we can implement some sort of overtime, but we have to make sure that farms are going to be able to afford it, and we have to make sure that the seasonal nature, especially of our agriculture. A lot of folks point to California as some place that have implemented things like this, but California's a completely different climate than here in New York. So we need to make sure that our workers are protected, absolutely, but we can't kill our farmers doing it.
Well, in follow-up to that, I know a lot of the supporters of the bill right now are arguing, saying that, you know, a lot of these part-time workers, or maybe not even part-time, but they're laborers, you know, when winter comes, sometimes they're out of a job. I mean, is there something that can be done to try to help facilitate, you know, further employment for them? Or, you know, I mean, I guess some would argue maybe that's not the government's job to step in anyways.
Right, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. Most of them are seasonal workers. On family farms, I think almost 70% of the workers in the agricultural industry are employed by large farms. Most small family farms employ either just their families or a very small subset of seasonal employees. And what they do is they fly in those seasonal employees. So we have to look at how we help farmers to pay those employees while they're here, but we can't, I don't think it's the government's place to step in and say, when these workers aren't on the job, we need to keep track of them. You know, that's not our job. What we need to be doing is saying, and I've talked to farmers about this, and I've heard them, and there have been hearings around the state, and the farmers, the reality is that the worries about how we treat our farm workers by people in New York City are just wrong. They don't have the experience. They haven't come to our farms. They don't see the way we treat our workers. Most workers in upstate New York on these farms are paid more than the minimum wage. They do work long hours each week, but they're often given housing and things like that along with their salary. They are given days off when it's necessary, but the fact is that agriculture is a vastly different industry from anything else we regulate in this state. During harvest time, we can't guarantee a day off because things will go bad on the vine, and that hurts farmers.
And finally, Austin, we did want to ask you, being one of the, if not the youngest candidate running here in New York State right now, what are people through the district saying? What are you hearing predominantly on the trail?
So yes, it's true. I would be the youngest state senator in history, in New York history. And I have been very pleasantly surprised on the campaign trail. Folks have come up to me at events left and right, and some say, you're 22, politics is dirty, what are you doing? Stay away from it. But I say, now's the time. My generation has so much to lose. And my children and folks' grandchildren, we have so much to lose if we don't make things better now. So I often get that question, but even more than that, I hear we need new blood in government, and I think that's absolutely true. We need a fresh perspective. We need someone with energy. We need someone willing to stand up for the little guy, and that's what I'm about.
And follow up to that, what do you say to some of the hardcore Republicans? Is that your pitch, that your new blood? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that tell us anyways that they're going to vote along the line because that's what the district does.
Of course, and I mean, we're in an age where partisanship has become so polarizing, and that's unfortunate to see. So there have certainly been folks that haven't wanted to talk to me, but even more than that, I've talked to folks who say, I'm a registered Republican and I loved Kathy Young, but I like what you're saying and I'd like to get to know you more, come over for coffee, let's chat about this because I like what you're saying, and this might be the first time I switch parties. All right,
Austin Morgan, thanks for joining us. Where can people connect with you?
So first of all, you can go on our website, which is voteaustinmorgan.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Austin Morgan for State Senate, and at Morgan for New York 57 on Twitter.
All right, Austin Morgan, thank you for joining us today. Wish we had more time to chat, but we appreciate you being in here with us.
Thanks so much, guys.
And remember to catch WNY News Now's town hall style debate between Morgan's opponents, Borrello and Crandall. That's Thursday, June 20th, right here on WNY News Now. Coming up next, Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. He's standing by with a live look at our First Defense weather forecast.
And later, we have the details on this year's Allen Park Concert Series when WNY News Now returns.